I'm over the softboard.
So what's next?
Hey everyone, I'm here in the Rockaways in my favorite surf shop, Station RBNY, speaking with the owner, Nigel Lewis. So Nigel, what should be the next step for people that want to transition from a softboard?
That's one that we get a lot. We should think about it first about the transition, right? So normally I find people sometimes try to transition too early. I would just first say if you're not comfortable going left and right on a wave and getting up and going down the line, you should probably keep riding the softboard for a little bit so you're comfortable kind of doing that, not just going straight into the beach. But a few questions that I always ask people when they're saying, hey, I want to switch is, like, what kind of surfing you want to do, right? Because some people might think, hey, I want to go down to a short board and start ripping it up. Some people might, I want a longboard. In either case, the next step should be something kind of in the middle. Softboards, what makes them awesome is that they're floaty, they're stable, easy to catch waves, and they're kind of a little bit slow. What you're going to realize immediately when you switch over is that fiberglass or epoxy boards are going to be a lot faster, and in a lot of cases will be sometimes a little bit less buoyant, so you won't float as high, and will just be a little bit more responsive. So every movement is transitioned to the wave much faster, which makes it kind of fun because then you start understanding how to use those things to make your surfing better. If you were on, let's say, a 9-foot or 8-foot softy and you were having fun on that thing, I would probably transition to a hardboard. I would say epoxy, maybe like, I like to call it first generation epoxy, but it's kind of a harder material epoxy. It just doesn't get damaged easily, but it floats pretty high as well. It'll react a lot like a standard surfboard, but something probably in the same height, but just a different material, right? And the reason why that's important is because I think that the height will give you the stability you need because it's a 9-foot, it's a 9-foot or 8-foot. But just by switching materials, you'll notice that it's still faster. And very quickly you'll know, okay, I can do this, or like, ooh, I should probably stay on a softy for a little bit. Know though, whatever you do, that you have to put a little bit of work in. It's not going to be as easy as the softboard that you were on. There's definitely a little bit of a learning curve. So what I would do is not be frustrated, just kind of take your time, kind of understand those nuances of what's happening in the new board that you're surfing, and then make a decision after a couple times. Hey, this is great, but it's still a little bit easy for me, or this is amazing, exactly what I wanted. I want a better version of this. You'd want something ideally with a little bit of a fuller nose, something that has a little bit rounder nose, so it still gives you good planing power and is also very stable. And as you get better, you can start working yourself down to a little bit more of a fuller nose, not so round anymore. The board's going to be a little bit more agile. And when that becomes a bit easy for you, transition down in size if you were looking to ride a smaller board, or you can go up in size if you're looking to be on a longboard.
So I think one of the biggest frustrations I hear from you surfers that transition is that they catch less waves.
Yeah. Because of just the buoyancy of a softboard, you're going to catch a lot more waves. On a hardboard, you could catch less, but think about it as like training, right? When you first go to the gym, you're lifting 10 pounds, then you maybe can lift 20. So it's just something you have to be persistent at. Your motor is your shoulders, so you just got to get those things working. If it's the same size, you should still catch quite a bit of waves, but you need to work a little bit harder for it. That's pretty much it. And the other big thing I kind of want to say too is that keep in mind that the waves matter as well. So just because you were struggling one day on the hardtop doesn't mean that it's that hard sometimes. It just means that maybe the waves weren't great for the board that day. Because with a hard board, that becomes more important. With the softboard, big waves, small waves, you can pretty much slide in. And although you lose control sometimes on the bigger ones, you can get in. With a hard board, you have to put the work in, and you need a little bit more of a wave usually to push the board.
Great. I think it's worth noting that once you want to transition and you're not sure, it's a great idea to go to your local surf shop and just rent a couple of boards for a few times to try it out.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I know we offer different varieties of rentals. Find one that you try and, try a couple of them. Like if you were on an 8-foot foamy, then you try an 8-foot hardtop and that felt a little bit like, oh, that felt kind of similar. And you want to go smaller, try a 7.6, try a 7-foot, see what works for you, and then you'll find your sweet spot. Start really paying attention to what's happening with you under the board. Be ready for that kind of speed and responsiveness from a hardboard that you weren't getting on the floaty softboard.
Well, guys, support your local surf shop. And if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. See ya.